You can put your head in the sand if you want to about this, but this bill that Governor Ron DeSantis, this crazy bill that he just signed into law, is immediately enforceable by law enforcement.
I promise I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. A lot of people think really good thoughts. It sounded like Donald Trump. A lot of people think really good thoughts about Ron DeSantis. DeSantis is a tyrant, but because he's a Republican tyrant, he's more palatable to the Republican masses. But I want to remind you, before I get into what DeSantis did, and it's all in writing, guys. All you have to do is take a look at the bill SB 2006. I went over some of it the other day, and I got a lot of criticism for it. And it's like, come on, we got to start somewhere, Brian. You don't start with tyranny. Starting with tyranny is a bad idea. Let me remind you what Trump lawyer, Epstein best friend, Alan Dershowitz had to say about what the state's rights are in regard to your own body. Listen to this. And by the way, this is something that Republicans and Democrats alike objected to. More Republicans rejected it, but they're going to accept it if it's packaged a particular way by a particular person. Watch this.
Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread a disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. If the vaccination
Where is that in the Constitution?
If the vaccination is designed to prevent the spreading disease.
And remember, this is all under the guise of you are a public health risk. And because you're a public health risk, now the state has the right to take away all of your freedoms, take you to a government-funded medical facility and plunge a needle into your arm and put something in your body that you don't want in your body because they say, there's danger, there's a crisis, you're a public health risk. All your rights are now eliminated. And that's what it is. It's necessary that we do this. Harkening back to William Pitt the Younger, necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedoms. If that's not an infringement of human freedoms, I don't know what is.
The vaccination is only to prevent a disease that you will get. For example, if there's a disease that will kill you, you have the right to refuse that, but you have no right to refuse to be vaccinated against a contagious disease. Public health, the police power of the Constitution, gives the state the power to compel that, and there are cases in the United States Supreme Court.
Translation, that is utter evil. To take away a man's freedom because the state, perceives you as a public health risk. Guess what? The state is a public health risk. The state is a public health risk to everybody. They're the ones out there coercing everybody. They're the ones out there engaging in and initiating violence against other people. But I want to show you this because Governor Ron DeSantis is a hero in the eyes of Republicans, even though Republicans wholeheartedly reject what Alan Dershowitz said. Ron DeSantis says the same thing as SB 2006. And we'll get to the specifics on this in a second, but this is what has been reported. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signs VAXX passport bill banning VAXX passports. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signs a bill banning VAXX passports. Sounds good. Laws are supposed to sound good. It's supposed to get as many people on board as possible. Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law that prohibits businesses and government agencies in the state from asking people for proof, digital passport or otherwise, of the COVID 1984 VAXX. This right here goes a little bit further, tries to put a good light on Governor Ron DeSantis in a more extreme manner. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis was joined by local legislators and small business owners in St. Petersburg, where he signed Senate Bill 2006. Hang on, we're going to take a look at that. Landmark legislation aimed at stemming the tide of local and state government overreach. Sounds so good. It's like, where do I sign? When do I march? Where can I meet so I can applaud Governor Ron DeSantis and pat him on the back for such a great job well done? The bill takes aim at arbitrary lockdowns via XX passports and enhances emergency preparedness for future emergencies. And here's what DeSantis says. Over the last year, we've avoided protracted lockdowns and school closures in Florida because I have refused to take the same approach as other lockdown governors. This legislation ensures that legal safeguards are in place so that local governments cannot arbitrarily close our schools or businesses. In Florida, your personal choice regarding VAXXs will be protected. Oh, really? And no business or government entity will be able to deny you services based on your decision. Well, let's take a look at SB 2006, shall we? I've got this bill up right here. I just want to go over some real quick term definitions here. Public health emergency means any occurrence or threat thereof, whether natural or man-made, which results or may result in substantial injury or harm to the public health from infectious disease, chemical agents. But right now we're just going to focus on infectious diseases. Now look what it says right here. It says, before declaring a public health emergency, the state health officer shall, to the extent possible, consult with the governor. And what are they going to consult on? The state health officer, upon declaration of a public health emergency, shall establish by order the method and procedure for identifying and reporting cases and deaths involving infectious disease or other occurrence identified. Okay, so what's the template for this? Right here it says the method and procedure must be consistent with any standards developed by the federal government specific to the declared emergency. So they're going to go, in order to report cases and deaths, they're going to use the template of the federal government. We know how that worked out right here. Just harken back to Illinois health inspector or health official, Dr. Ezike, who said, even if a person dies of a clear, quote, clear alternate cause, if they test positive for you know what, that's going to count as that you know what case. Traffic accident? Yep, died in traffic accident. Test that person. What's in that blood? Oh, it tested positive, even though you can't, according to even mainstream media, you can't trust the tests. Died of a clear alternate cause, but they tested positive. That's going to go into the case. That's kind of a Ezike from Illinois was following the federal template on how you calculate deaths in regard to that particular disease. Now, watch this. This is on line 1097. So I'm starting on SB 2006, line 197, page 38 of 42. Ordering an individual to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined for communicable diseases that have significant morbidity or mortality and present a severe danger to the public by whose standard? Individuals who are unable or unwilling to be examined, tested, vaccinated, or treated for reasons of health, religion, or conscience may be subject to, let's say what it is, house arrest. Governor Ron DeSantis signed this bill. Governor Ron DeSantis says if you do not submit to being examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, quarantined, or whatever, because we declared a public health emergency and we declare you a public health risk, then guess what? We're going to subject you. We're going to force you into isolation and quarantine, house arrest. From the pen of Governor Ron DeSantis, who, let me just remind you, said in this right here, your personal choice regarding VAXXs will be protected and no business or government entity will be able to deny you services based on your decision, but we reserve the right to quarantine you, put you under house arrest at will. Oh, nice. Let's get on with the rest of this. And we haven't even seen the worst of it, guys. It says, if the individual poses a danger to the public health, who gets to determine that? Who determines that you as an individual pose a danger to public health? Oh, that's right. The public health authorities get to determine that. The Governor Ron DeSantis of the world and his public health officials get to determine that. Oh, you're a public health risk because we say so. So if an individual poses a danger to the public health, the state health officer may subject the individual to isolation or quarantine. You lose your freedoms. We don't care. We're trampling your rights because it's for the public health. It's necessary. That's the plea for every tyrant. It's the creed of every slave. If there is no practical method to isolate or quarantine the individual, the state health officer may use any means necessary to what? To vaccinate or treat the individual. I'm going to read that again. If the individual poses a danger to public health, the state health officer may subject the individual to isolation or quarantine. If there's no practical method to isolate or quarantine the individual, the state health officer under, Ron DeSantis may use any means necessary to vaccinate or treat the individual. And it says, by order of the state health officer given to the effectuate this paragraph, is immediately enforceable by law enforcement officers under 381.0012. Now, somebody made the argument that, hey, this part of this bill where there's a forced VAXX element to it has been a long-standing thing for 20 years. Yeah, he just resurrected it in SB 2006. Ron DeSantis doesn't get a pass because this forced vaccination law in Florida has been there for 20 years. He's the governor. It's just like I saw Kristi Noem the other day saying, Biden wants to put a death tax on people in my state in South Dakota. Well, you're the governor. All you had to do is get on Fox News and go, ain't going to happen. Matter of fact, if Ron DeSantis really wanted to ban VAXX passports and stem government overreach, all he needed was one sheet of paper and maybe one or two lines on that sheet of paper. Oh, and on the third line, he would say, hey, that law from 20 years ago where there's, if you're declared a public health risk, that we're going to force a VAXX, we're going to jab a needle into your arm, thanks to, in the words of Alan Dershowitz. I'm eradicating that too. There's never going to be any good reason to trample anybody's rights. And I, Governor Ron DeSantis, am going to make sure that's going to happen, not going to happen. And I'm going to put it in plain English on one sheet of paper. And you're not going to have to wade through 42 pages of nonsense to discover that actually I'm the tyrant you didn't think I was. It's laughable that he says, in Florida, your personal choice regarding vaccinations will not be protected, and no business or government entity will be able to deny you services based on your decision, when in the very bill that's supposed to grant you or protect your freedoms actually reiterates the fact that they're going to take your freedoms away if they determine that you're a public health risk. That's Governor Ron DeSantis. That's called a tyrant, guys. He codified it. He put it in law. He put it on his signature. And Republicans, we know Democrats are out to lunch too, okay? I always got to put that little caveat in there before I say something about Republicans, lest I be called a libtard. Ron DeSantis put his signature on a tyrannical SB 2006. If you are determined by his government as a public health risk, they will jab a needle into your freaking arm, into your family's arm, into your kid's arm, or they'll put you under house arrest. They'll take away your freedoms in the name of securing your freedoms. Yeah, the executive doesn't he signed the law, though. He signed it into law. He partook in the tyranny. Partaking in the tyranny. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to keep this video as short as possible. Leave your comments about this. Where am I off on this? If you are championing the cause of freedom, you come against every shade of tyranny. And I can't think of more blatant tyranny than for them to take you out of your house or put you into quarantine, in house arrest, or put you in a cage or a camp somewhere and jab a needle into your arm. Can you think of a greater tyranny than that? Most Republicans, all Republicans, will be up in arms if Joe Biden signed something like this today. Or if Barack Obama ever signed anything like that, or any Democratic leader signed anything like this into law. Remember, laws are the opinions of politicians backed by the threat of force, and they mean to use force on you if they declare you a public health risk, when indeed they are the ones who are the true public health risk. So leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. I go live on DLive every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I also go live on my backup channel on YouTube, Grease Monkey Videos, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday sometimes. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.